In 1989, the world watched as China's student-led protest for freedom turned into one of the darkest chapters of modern history. What happened in Tiananmen Square wasn't just a crackdown, it was a massacre. Here are the top 10 most horrific things that happened during those days of terror. Tens of thousands of students, workers, and citizens gathered in Beijing demanding democracy, anti-corruption reforms, and freedom of speech. For weeks, the atmosphere was almost festive. Hunger strikes, music, speeches. No one imagined this peaceful gathering would spiral into bloodshed. On May 20th, martial law was announced. Nearly 300,000 soldiers from the People's Liberation Army began moving toward Beijing. Residents tried to block their paths with makeshift barricades, burning buses, even lying in the streets. The city became a siege zone, and everyone knew something terrible was coming. When troops advanced, they opened fire indiscriminately. Eyewitnesses reported soldiers shooting into crowds. Not warning shots, but direct fire at unarmed civilians. Hospitals overflowed with the wounded. Some doctors described floors drenched in blood. Perhaps the most infamous horror, tanks rolling over bodies. Witnesses recall people screaming as armored vehicles ground flesh and bone into the pavement. Survivors described the pancaking of human remains, making cleanup crews wash pieces into the gutters. Soldiers weren't just using rubber bullets or tear gas, they used assault rifles and machine guns. Entire avenues lit up with tracer fire. Some civilians trying to rescue the wounded were themselves shot dead. Beijing hospitals were jammed with victims, some still alive, many already dead. Doctors performed surgeries on floors, in hallways, without anesthesia. One nurse recalled children shot in the head being carried in by their parents. Within hours, bodies were carted away by military trucks to erase evidence. Parents searching for their children found nothing. Bodies cremated, medical records destroyed. Even today, the true death toll is unknown. Estimates range from several hundred to several thousand. The massacre didn't stop in Tiananmen Square. Troops fired into apartment blocks, into alleyways, anywhere crowds gathered. Many victims weren't even protesters, they were simply residents caught in the chaos. Parents and relatives of the dead, known as the Tiananmen Mothers, have been harassed, spied on, and silenced for decades. Even mourning publicly could result in arrest. Imagine not being allowed to grieve your own child, under threat of prison. Perhaps the darkest horror of all. In China today, the massacre is erased. The internet, textbooks, even conversations are censored. A generation of young Chinese grow up knowing almost nothing about what really happened on June 4, 1989. The Tiananmen Square Massacre was more than just a crackdown. It was a message of fear. People who wanted freedom faced bullets, tanks, and silence. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is that decades later, the victims are not only dead, they are nearly forgotten. Remembering their sacrifice is the only way to keep their voices alive. Thank you for watching Fascinating War History.